You know that moment when your entire world just crumbles? When everything you thought you knew about your family, about love, about loyalty, just disappears in an instant. Well, I had that moment, standing in the doorway of what used to be my bedroom. My childhood bedroom. The room where I'd spent 18 years of my life. And there was a stranger, a 7-year-old stranger, jumping on my bed. My bed. The silence in the hallway was deafening. You know that kind of silence? The kind that comes right before absolute chaos. My dad was standing behind me. I could hear him breathing. That nervous, guilty breathing that people do when they know they've done something unforgivable. But here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt. It transforms you. It takes that innocent, trusting part of you, and it burns it to the ground. And from those ashes, something else rises. Something much, much scarier. I turned around slowly, very slowly, and looked at my father. The man who raised me. The man who taught me to ride a bike, who came to every school play, who promised me that he would always have my back. "Dad," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "What is this?" He couldn't even look me in the eyes. Couldn't even look at his own daughter. "Sweetie," he stammered, "we need to talk." But I already knew. Standing there, watching this random child destroy my childhood sanctuary. I already knew exactly what was happening. My stepmother had won. After 3 years of psychological warfare, after 3 years of subtle manipulation and not-so-subtle hints that I didn't belong, she had finally gotten what she wanted. Me, gone. But what they didn't know, what neither of them could have possibly predicted, was what I was about to do next. Because when you take everything from someone who has nothing left to lose, you better be prepared for the consequences. And trust me, the consequences were about to be spectacular. Let me take you back to where this nightmare actually began. 3 years ago, my mother died. Cancer. It was brutal. Long. The kind of death that destroys families or brings them together. My dad and I, we were brought together. At least, I thought we were. For 6 months after Mom's funeral, it was just us. We ordered pizza every Friday. We watched terrible movies. We talked about everything and nothing. He told me stories about Mom that I'd never heard before. I felt safe. But then, he met Linda. Linda was everything my mother wasn't. Where Mom was gentle, Linda was sharp. Where Mom was nurturing, Linda was calculating. And where Mom loved me unconditionally, Linda saw me as a problem to be solved. "Your daughter is too dependent on you," I heard her tell my dad one night. I was supposed to be asleep, but, well, thin walls have their advantages. "She's grieving," Dad replied. "We both are. She's 18, Robert. She needs to learn independence. You're not helping her by babying her." Babying me? That's what she called basic parental love. The changes started small. Dad stopped coming to my track meets. "Linda and I have plans," he'd say. Then it was missing my birthday dinner because Linda's son had a soccer game. Then it was, well, you get the picture. But the real kicker? The moment I knew I was losing my father forever? It was last Christmas. I'd saved up for months, to buy Dad this vintage watch that looked exactly like the one his father had given him. The one that got lost in the move after Mom died. Christmas morning came. I was so excited. I'd wrapped it perfectly, put it under the tree with this long letter about how much he meant to me, about how we'd get through this together. I waited and waited for him to open it. But instead, Linda handed him a small box. Inside? Keys to a brand new BMW. "From all of us," she said, gesturing to herself and Tyler, her 7-year-old son. "Your new family. Your new family." I sat there, holding my carefully wrapped gift, feeling like I was disappearing. Like I was becoming invisible in my own home. Dad didn't even notice my gift until the very end. And when he opened it, when he saw what I'd done, "Oh, sweetie," he said, not even looking at the watch. "You didn't have to do that." He set it aside. Didn't even put it on. Didn't read the letter. But he spent the next hour, playing with Tyler's remote control car. That night, Linda cornered me in the kitchen. "You know," she said, washing dishes with this fake smile, "Tyler really needs his own space. He's been sharing with his older brother at his dad's house and, well, it's time he had a real room. A permanent room." "He has the guest room," I said. She laughed. Actually laughed. "The guest room? Honey, that's barely a closet. I'm talking about a real room. A room where a growing boy can spread out. Like my room." I asked. "Well," she said, turning to face me fully, "you're going to college in the fall anyway. You'll barely be here. It just makes sense. Makes sense. To give away the room where I'd cried myself to sleep after Mom's diagnosis. Where I'd studied for the SATs. Where I'd hung up every award, every picture, every memory of my actual life. It made sense to erase me completely." "Does Dad know about this?" I asked. Her smile got wider. Sharper. "Whose idea do you think it was?" And that's when I knew. Standing in my mother's kitchen, listening to my replacement mother plan my erasure. I knew that the father I'd grown up loving was gone. But I still had hope. Stupid, naive hope that when push came to shove, he'd choose me. His daughter. His blood. I was about to learn just how wrong I was. The conversation happened on a Tuesday. I remember because, well, you remember the day your life ends. I came home from my part-time job at the campus bookstore, tired, covered in dust from moving textbooks all day. I had exactly 3 months until graduation. 3 months until I'd earned my degree in engineering. The degree I'd worked my ass off for. The degree I'd paid for with scholarships, loans, and every spare dollar from working 20 hours a week. Dad was sitting at the kitchen table with Linda. They had papers spread out in front of them. Official-looking papers. "Hey honey," Dad said, not looking up. "How was work?" "Fine," I said, grabbing water from the fridge. "What's all this?" Linda looked at Dad. One of those looks. You know the kind, when couples communicate without words. When they've already decided something, and you're the last to know. "Well," Dad cleared his throat. "Linda and I have been talking about Tyler's living situation." My stomach dropped. Just dropped. "Okay," I said slowly. "He's been having nightmares," Linda jumped in. "About not having his own space. About feeling like a guest in his own home. His own home. Not our home. Not the home where I'd lived for 18 years. His home. The child psychologist says," Linda continued, "that he needs stability. Permanence. A room that's truly his." I looked at my father. My actual father. The man who'd carried me on his shoulders to see fireworks when I was Tyler's age. "Dad," I said. He couldn't meet my eyes. "Sweetie, you're graduating soon. You'll probably move out anyway, get your own place." "Probably?" My voice was getting higher. "Dad, I live here. This is my home. And it always will be," he said quickly. Too quickly. "You'll always have a place here. We're just rearranging things. Temporarily. Temporarily. So where exactly would I sleep when I come home?" I asked. "Well," Linda said, spreading out what I now realized were furniture catalogs. "We thought the basement family room is really quite spacious. We could set up a nice Murphy bed down there. Very modern. Very chic. The basement. They wanted to put me in the basement. Like I was storage. Like I was something to be tucked away when company came over." "Are you serious right now?" I asked. "Now, don't get dramatic," Linda said, that fake sweet voice again. "Lots of college students would love to have a space like that. Private entrance, your own bathroom. It floods every spring, I said flatly. We'll fix that, Dad said. With what money? I shot back. The money you're spending on Tyler's room makeover? The silence stretched out, long and uncomfortable. Finally, Dad spoke. We've already talked to Tyler about it. He's very excited. Already talked to Tyler. They'd already decided. Without me. About my room. In my house. When? I asked. When what, honey? When he's stealing my room. Nobody's stealing anything, Linda snapped, dropping the fake sweetness. This is about family. About making everyone feel welcome and loved. Everyone except me, apparently. That's not fair, Dad said, finally looking at me. You know we love you. But Tyler is 7 years old. He's a child. And you're an adult now. An adult. At 18. But Tyler, also a child, got priority in my childhood home. Fine, I said quietly. When? This weekend, Linda said, already looking back at the catalogs. Tyler's so excited. We're thinking of a superhero theme. Maybe some bunk beds for when his brother visits. This weekend. In 4 days, everything that made this place home for me would be gone. I walked upstairs, slowly, deliberately, and I stood in my doorway, looking at 18 years of my life. My medals from track were still hanging on the wall. Pictures of Mom and me at my 8th grade graduation. The growth marks Dad had made on my door frame every birthday. All of it. Gone by Sunday. That night, I heard them talking again. Through those same thin walls. Do you think we should offer to help her move her stuff? Dad asked. Robert, Linda said, and I could hear her eye roll. She's a smart girl. She'll figure it out. Besides, it's character building. Character building. Having your room stolen is character building. I stared at the ceiling for hours that night. Thinking. Planning. Because here's what Linda didn't know about me. I don't just roll over. I don't just disappear quietly. And I definitely don't go down without a fight. But this wasn't going to be just any fight. This was going to be strategic. Because if they wanted to treat me like I wasn't family, then I was going to stop acting like family. And trust me, they had no idea what that meant. Hey everyone, before I tell you what I did next, if you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us reach more people and, honestly, you're going to want to see how this ends. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and every single one means the world to us. Saturday morning came. Moving day. I woke up at 6 a.m. to the sound of strangers in my house. Linda had hired professional movers to pack up my life. Like I was dead. But I wasn't dead. I was very, very much alive. And I had a plan. I got dressed carefully. My best jeans. Mom's favorite sweater. The pearl earrings she'd given me for my 16th birthday. I wanted to look perfect. Because what I was about to do required me to look like the innocent victim I actually was. Downstairs, Dad was directing the movers. Careful with that, he said, as they carried out my bookshelf. The bookshelf he'd built for me when I was 12. Morning, Daddy, I said sweetly. He jumped. Actually jumped. Oh. Hey, sweetheart. I thought you'd sleep in. On my last day in my room? No way. I wanted to savor it. Linda appeared from the kitchen, coffee in hand. She was practically glowing. Victory looked disgusting on her. Morning, honey, she said. The movers will have everything cleared out by noon. Tyler's new furniture arrives at 2. Isn't that exciting? So exciting, I agreed. Hey, Dad. Can we talk? Privately? Linda's smile flickered. Just for a second. Of course, sweetheart, Dad said. Linda, could you? I'll supervise the movers, she said, but her eyes were suspicious. Dad and I walked to the living room. The same living room where he'd taught me to play chess. Where we'd watched the Super Bowl together every year since I was 5. Dad, I said, sitting down on the couch. I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest with me. Okay. Do you remember what you promised me at Mom's funeral? His face went pale. Very, very pale. You said that nothing would ever change between us. That we'd always be a team. That I'd always come first. Do you remember that? Sweetie, do you remember, Dad? Yes, he whispered. I remember. Good. Because I want to make sure I understand the new rules. Tyler comes first now, right? It's not about coming first. Tyler gets my room. Tyler gets the good furniture. Tyler gets your attention. Tyler gets everything. And I get the basement. Is that accurate? Dad was quiet for a long moment. You're older now. You can handle. I can handle being treated like trash. Got it. I stood up. Well then. I guess it's time I handled things my way. What do you mean? I smiled. The same smile Linda had given me that night in the kitchen. Sweet. Sharp. Dangerous. I mean, your kid, your bill. What? I pulled out my phone. Speed dial. Number 3. Hey, Mrs. Patterson? It's Sarah. Yes, from the financial aid office. I need to make a change to my tuition payment plan. Dad's eyes went wide. Sarah, what are you? I held up one finger. The universal sign for shut up and listen. Yes, I need to remove my current guarantor, Robert Williams, and replace him with, well, actually, I don't need a guarantor anymore. I'll be paying out of pocket. Sarah. Dad's voice was strangled. What's that? The balance? Oh, it's $18,000 for this semester alone. Yes, that's correct. The full amount will be due Monday. I hung up. The silence was beautiful. What did you just do? Dad whispered. I handled it, I said calmly. See, Dad, you've been paying my tuition this whole time. Mom's life insurance money, remember? The money that was supposed to be for me. For my education. His face was getting redder. Sarah, you can't just. But I can. I'm 18. I'm an adult, remember? You said so yourself. And adults handle their own responsibilities. The sound of footsteps. Linda, running into the room. What's wrong? I heard shouting. Your stepdaughter, Dad said, his voice shaking, just removed me from her tuition payments. Linda looked confused. What does that mean? I smiled at her. It means, Linda, that the $18,000 you've been spending on Tyler's new room, the money for the furniture, the paint, the decorations, that was supposed to be my tuition money. Her face went completely white. But don't worry, I continued. I'm sure Tyler's happiness is worth more than my college education. Right? Right, Dad? Sarah, you're being ridiculous. Call them back and... No. The word hung in the air like a bomb. No? Dad repeated. No. You made your choice. Tyler is your priority. Your family. So, he's your responsibility. All of him. Including the consequences. Linda was finally understanding. Robert, how much is her tuition? $18,000, I said helpfully. Per semester. So, $36,000 for the year. Plus room and board, which is another $15,000. So, roughly $51,000. Due Monday. The math was hitting them. Hard. You said I needed to learn independence, I continued. Well, I'm learning. I'm independent from you. From this house. From this family. Sarah, Dad was pleading now. Please. Be reasonable. We can work this out. Oh, we absolutely can work this out, I said. Give me back my room and I'll call Mrs. Patterson right now. Silence. Long, horrible silence. Linda and Dad looked at each other. One of those married couple conversations. The kind where they're frantically calculating whether they can afford to keep me. And in that moment, in that terrible, beautiful moment, I knew exactly how little I meant to them. We've already ordered Tyler's furniture, Linda said weakly. Then I guess you'd better figure out how to pay my tuition, I replied. Because like you said, Linda, I'm not family anymore. Which means, I'm not your problem anymore. You're my daughter, Dad said desperately. Of course you're family. Am I? I asked. Because family doesn't get kicked out of their rooms. Family doesn't get put in basements. Family doesn't get erased. I walked toward the door. My stuff will be out by tonight. Tyler can have his precious room. And you can have the bill. Sarah, wait. But I was already walking away. Out the front door. Into my car. And I drove away from the house where I'd grown up, feeling lighter than I had in 3 years. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is make someone realize exactly what they're losing. And they were about to lose everything. The phone call started. Sunday night. I was staying at my best friend Maya's house, sleeping on her couch, when my phone started buzzing. Dad's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Then Linda called. Voicemail. Then Dad again. And again. And again. I didn't answer. Because here's the thing about consequences, they taste better when they're served cold. Monday morning, I was sitting in my advanced calculus class when my phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Sarah, please call me. We need to talk. This is serious. I texted back, sorry, who is this? Oh wait. Tyler's dad, right? Radio silence for 3 hours. Then, the flood began. Sarah Marie Williams, you call me right now. This is not a game. Your tuition is due today. I know you're reading these. Answer your phone. I screenshotted every single one. Evidence. Because what came next was going to be legendary. At 2 p.m., I got a call from Mrs. Patterson at the financial aid office. Sarah? I just wanted to confirm, your tuition payment is now overdue. We haven't received the $51,000 payment. That's correct, I said calmly. My father is no longer contributing to my education. I see. And you'll be paying this yourself. Actually, I said, I have a new plan. Could you transfer me to the scholarship office? What Dad and Linda didn't know, what they never bothered to ask, was that I'd been researching emergency financial aid for months. There were programs, grants, scholarships specifically for students who'd been abandoned by their families. All I needed was documentation that my father had cut me off. And boy, did I have documentation. By Wednesday, I had applied for 6 different emergency grants. By Friday, I'd been approved for 5 of them, plus a work-study program, plus emergency housing assistance. The total? $63,000. More than enough for tuition. More than enough for my own apartment. More than enough to disappear from their lives completely. But that wasn't enough. Saturday morning, I drove back to the house. My house. The house where my mother had lived and loved and died. Dad's BMW was gone. In its place was a beat-up Honda Civic. I knocked on the door. Linda answered. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed. No makeup. Dark circles under her eyes. Sarah, she said, like she was seeing a ghost. Hi, Linda. Is Dad home? He's at work. Saturday shift. Saturday shift. Dad never worked Saturdays. Dad worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, had for 15 years. Unless he needed extra money. Can I come in? I have something for you. She hesitated, then stepped aside. The house looked different. Tyler's superhero furniture was there, in what used to be my room. But everything else looked shabby. Older. Worn down. Linda, I said, sitting down at the kitchen table. I wanted to thank you. Thank me. For teaching me such an important lesson. About family. About priorities. About consequences. I pulled out an envelope. Official looking. Legal letterhead. What's that? She asked. Emancipation papers, I said calmly. I'm officially declaring myself independent from Robert Williams. For tax purposes, legal purposes, all purposes. Her face went gray. You see, I continued, when I applied for financial aid, I had to prove that my father had abandoned his parental responsibilities. Cut off support. Chosen other priorities. I pulled out my phone. Started scrolling through the screenshots. These text messages were very helpful, especially the ones where he called me ungrateful, where he said I needed to grow up, where he said Tyler was more important. Sarah. Oh, but the best part, I said, is what happens next. See, when a parent abandons a dependent child to pay for non-essential expenses, like Tyler's room makeover, that's considered financial abuse. The color drained completely from her face. I'm not pressing charges, I said quickly. I'm not that cruel. But, well, Dad's going to have some explaining to do. To his employer. To his insurance company. To everyone. I stood up to leave. Then turned back. Oh, one more thing. I hope Tyler enjoys his new room. Because according to my calculations, you'll be moving out of this house in about 6 months. What are you talking about? Dad's been using Mom's life insurance money to keep up with your lifestyle. The BMW payments. Tyler's private school. This house. All of it. I smiled. But now that he's not paying my tuition anymore, and now that he's lost his secondary income from Mom's benefits because I'm emancipated, well, the math doesn't work anymore. Linda's mouth was opening and closing like a fish. You might want to start looking for apartments, I said helpfully. I hear the basement family rooms are very chic. I walked toward the door, then stopped. And Linda? Next time you decide to steal someone's family, make sure you can afford to keep them. I left. But not before I heard crying, actual crying, from the woman who'd destroyed my life because she couldn't handle sharing my father's attention. The phone calls came for weeks. Dad, Linda, even Tyler's grandmother. All of them begging me to fix this. To be reasonable. To think about the family. But here's what they never understood. I was thinking about family. I was thinking about my mother, who'd saved every penny for my education. I was thinking about the promises Dad had made at her funeral. I was thinking about 18 years of love and trust and security that they'd traded away for a 7-year-old's happiness. 6 months later, I got a text from my old neighbor. For sale sign in front of my childhood home. Dad, Linda, and Tyler had moved into a 2-bedroom apartment across town. Dad was working 2 jobs. Linda was working at Target. And me? I was living in a beautiful studio apartment near campus. Straight A's. Dean's List. Full ride to graduate school. I was free. Free from their drama. Free from their manipulation. Free from their conditional love. Because real love doesn't come with eviction notices. And real family doesn't steal your room for strangers. 2 years later, I graduated summa cum laude with my master's degree in engineering. I got a job at one of the top firms in the state. 6-figure salary. Company car. Full benefits. And you know what I did with my first paycheck? I bought a house. A beautiful 3-bedroom house, with a room that would have been perfect for Tyler. But Tyler wasn't my problem anymore. The day I moved in, I got a letter. Hand-delivered. My father's handwriting on the envelope. Inside, 3 words, I'm so proud. I read it twice. Then I put it in the trash. Because proud fathers don't abandon their daughters for strangers. Proud fathers keep their promises. People ask me sometimes if I regret what I did, if I think I went too far, if I miss having a family. And here's what I tell them. I didn't destroy my family. My family was destroyed the moment they decided I was disposable. I just made sure they felt the full weight of their choice. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people experience the consequences of their actions, without cushioning the blow, without fixing their mistakes, without enabling their cruelty. Dad wanted me to be independent. Linda wanted me gone. Tyler wanted my room. Well, they got exactly what they wanted. And so did I. I got self-respect. I got boundaries. I got peace. And most importantly, I got proof that I don't need people who don't value me. Because at the end of the day, family isn't about blood. It's about choice. It's about showing up. It's about keeping your promises. And when people stop choosing you, you get to stop choosing them back. That's not revenge. That's justice. And justice tastes pretty sweet when you're living your best life. If you enjoyed this story about standing up for yourself and setting boundaries, I've got another one that'll blow your mind. It's about a bridezilla who tried to steal my wedding dress and what I did to make sure she never forgot my name. Check it out right here on the screen. And hey, if these stories are helping you feel a little braver about standing up for yourself, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for what's coming next. Thanks for listening. And remember, you teach people how to treat you. So, teach them well. See you in the next one.